Alright, good afternoon. It's soon going to be the second and last session of the short campaign, where 30-something of us attempt to prevent the Reformation, and on that front things are going almost too well. All nations bar one have managed to convert themselves away from Catholic in an attempt to destroy Catholicism, and by that way prevent the Reformation from ever starting. Reform desire is, I believe, in the mid-40s, so it needs to hit 95 before there being any risk of reformation. So I don't think we're going to be seeing that unless things go terribly wrong. So let's have a look over how the different fronts went. There was a united African alliance with the last bastion of the Moors in Iberia, Granada, and they fought back. They fought like hell. They pushed out all of the dreaded Christians, and the clock has been turned back 1,000 years. Iberia looks exactly how it should. The players in this region being Granada, Morocco, Tlemcen and Tunis. Yeah, they did a real number on Castile and friends. Castile even fell under personal union under England, so things got real interesting there. Meanwhile, Brittany's been doing their own thing, gobbling up Provence and chunks of France, generally doing well for themselves. The British, they suffered a heavy setback early on where England kicked Lothian out of Scotland, but they got themselves together and the Scottish-Irish alliance pushed England out of existence. Speaking of out of existence, there used to be Friesland here. He is somewhat in despair about his loss. Goodbye, Max. Never forget. Meanwhile, the Hansa's profiteering off of their failures, expanding quite heavily in the north of Germany here. Of course, all these players have converted to a different faith, that way stopping Catholic events for them and the people that they gobble up or convert through force. Down in Italy, we see Montferrat. They've been the silent workhorse down here. They have been doing pretty good for themselves and making sweet bank on that. Good old Genoan trade node. Actually, since Montferrat starts out as simply a vassal of Savoy, it's very impressive, the mark they've made for themselves in the world. Italy has been divided up, but not by greedy Western powers, but by the evil Eastern powers. Roma is in the disgusting hands of Blurple. Cyprus, instead of going for forming Jerusalem, which would have been pretty nifty, have gobbled up Naples, with Albania taking a little heel in an attempt to make some of the ugliest borders ever seen. Yes, Albania have constructed the wall, including the demolish-proof wall, wedging themselves firmly between Albania and Wallachia's butt cheeks. Ragusa doing pretty well for themselves, getting themselves a nice little niche here, and one little success story is Aquileia, starting out only with Friuli and as a vassal of Venice. They've carved themselves out a nice little nugget in northern Italy, probably making sweet bank off that Venice trade node. Good job to you. You are, of course, a metropolis, an orthodox theocracy. There are a few scattered powers in the HRE. There weren't too many players here. Ulm is one of them, and there's been a lot of back and forths in the HRE thanks to punitive wars, conquest wars. It's well, I'm sure it'll all come together, wipe out this Catholicism one way or the other. Up to the north we have Norway. They never really had much of a plan for conversion, so they're sitting with a lot of Orthodox land, but they are still Catholic. And what we can do is switch over to Norway quickly and have a look at religion. 43.2% reform desire. Now, the Reformation will trigger once that hits 95% or more, with a relatively low chance, but for every Catholic country, so it tends to happen pretty fast after that. Norway will be looking for a way to convert, and if they are not going to convert, well, you might find a few knives stuck in them, since they may well be trying to spike the whole operation. Over in the east, there's quite the gaggle of powers. Perm, Ryazan, Yaroslav, Pskov, Kazan. There were a lot trying to take down Muscovy, trying being the operative word, because Muscovy kicked a lot of asses. Nonetheless, independence was gained for all the subjects or ex-subjects of Muscovy. Kazan was temporarily reduced to a two-province minor thanks to the aggressions of Nogai, but Nogai was forced to give all that back and now sit there, probably soon to be a vassal of Timurids. Because Timurids have been fairly aggressive, although Timurids are not a player. Players in this region are Crimea, Kazan, Ryazan, Pskov, the dreaded Riga, the glorious Livonian Order, and Perm. If I miss someone out, well, I'm going to feel bad for them. Ottomans were dogpiled day one, as you can see, and so there has been some friction along here. Constantinople being eyed up, and at the same time Anatolia being looked at with lips licked by the Blurple player. Very strong alliance here in the Balkans. We'll see if that comes to anything. Balkans plus Italy, essentially, because they've been gobbling that up. Byzantium even claiming the islands here. Byzantium trying to get their fingers into a lot of pies. Anatolia spreading out, everybody trying to gain some strength here and there, because they never know who is going to be jumping them. Players here should be quite obvious. We have Karaman, Ramazan, Trebizond, Georgia. Armenia is not a player. Armenia is a vassal under the glorious Georgia. The best country ever, apparently. No, objectively. Georgia is objectively the best country ever. It's probably the first and last time you'll be hearing me saying that live on stream. And this is the world as it stands in the year of our Lord 1497. The game will be resuming in about a quarter of an hour. The host is probably up. I should go and join it. If there's anything people want to see in the game, say it now in chat before we join in the real game. And then enjoy Out of Sync Simulator 1497. Some people might be confused as to what causes the Reformation that we're trying to prevent. There are events and decisions that every Catholic country can make and take, which will push up or down reform desire. So this will tend generally upwards. So our goal is to stop it before it hits 95. The only sure way to stop it is removing all Catholic powers. But the Reformation cannot fire for Catholics that have their capital on Rome, for the Papal States, or for Catholics that have their capital outside of Europe, and is for that reason that Congo is not an issue. They're not converting here, and they probably won't, because what's left of Portugal is being integrated by mighty Morocco. So Congo probably won't be getting any events to that description, and even if Japan somehow gets events and flips, well, they're outside of Europe, they're not going to influence on that. I'm being asked who else is streaming. I'm not sure. Probably the Ragusa player. Max in Friesland was streaming, but for obvious reasons. Yeah, don't think they will be. Congo has not converted. Jake probably should mention my black magic. I have other surprises for everyone today. How far are you on filling the Mediterranean with dead Slavs to create a land route to Iberia? I don't know. Looks like Slavs are looking to form a river of their own, a Crimea River. Crimea is my baby. That's a little terrifying, actually. I count 84,000 Slavs. Tech across the board is probably abysmal. Yeesh, that does not make for a nice sight. Norway is very suspicious though. Western tech, big, strong, and refusing to convert. What could it mean? What could it possibly mean? Morocco is indeed colonizing. Morocco has gained exploration ideas. Tlemcen probably wouldn't be far behind them. The only European that is colonized outside of Europe and Africa, though, is Irish Munster, deciding to set up a glacial home up here in Greenland. Irish. Ugh, less said the better. Didn't know this before, but Andalusia is a cultural union for Iberians, so Andalusia is going to be making sick bank on all of these provinces. And autonomy ticks down naturally for them because they're an ICTA. Wish I could say the same about autonomy. It ain't pretty. Are you playing Norwegian? No, I am playing as Crimea. Glorious Crimea. You'll be seeing more of this later on. As for score, well, Ming is the runaway train on score at the start of the game, but then we have Crimea, France, Austria, and interesting one there, Ramazan, clocking in at number 5. I'm proud of you, man. First game I ever streamed of this was Ramazan. And they're doing not too shabby for themselves. Okay, there isn't much time. I had better set up for the MP.